3, 2, 1, action!
Hey guys, welcome back to Dear Diplomats. I'm your host today, Dara Abimbola. I'm a sophomore here at Franklin and Marshall College with a Bachelor of Arts in International Business and Digital Marketing. And today my guest is the VP of Student Affairs. You are?
Hi everybody, I'm Drew Stelljes and I am thrilled to serve as your Vice President for Student Affairs. And today we're going to talk a lot about different questions that may be of interest to you.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you for being here, Drew.
My pleasure.
I'm so excited. It's been very long getting this thing done, but we're here. So, we're going to start with a lovely icebreaker.
Okay.
It's called How Well Do You Know?
Oh, okay. How well do you know? I'm ready.
How well do you know F&M?
Oh boy.
So, in what year was Franklin and Marshall College established?
That's a great question. 1847.
I don't know, so I'm going to assume that's right. Today someone said 1737, so we're going to...
I think you're right.
This
I
is
just made that up.
Threshold. All right, who are the founders of Franklin and Marshall College?
Well, Ben Franklin himself gave money to start the college, and it is based in the Puritan tradition.
Okay, who's the other person? Ben Franklin and...
Oh, John Marshall.
There we go. Lovely. Okay, if you could major in any subject here at Franklin and Marshall College, what would it be and why?
Well, I will tell you, I was a sociology major myself in school, and so I think I would probably be a sociology major here.
Okay. All right, lovely. Can you name one sociology professor here at Franklin and Marshall?
I cannot. And
Indeed.
I'll tell you why. I've been here for 2.5 months.
All right, lovely. Great answer. Okay, do you like Starbucks?
I love Starbucks.
Lovely. So everyone has their favorite Starbucks order.
Yes.
What is your favorite diplomatic cafe order?
I go to Diplomatic Cafe every day, and Nellie works there, and she always takes the order, and she knows that I get a large coffee with a little bit of half and half, but what she does for me is she makes a special caricature on the cup just for me that is usually in the form of a dinosaur or some sort of mythical animal.
Okay.
So I feel very special.
I love that. And if you could change one thing about Franklin and Marshall, what would it be?
If I could change one thing about Franklin and Marshall, it would be that there were more hours in the day so that I could spend more time spending more time with students.
I love that. What is one thing you love most about Franklin and Marshall?
Among the many things I love about Franklin and Marshall so far are that I find that the students are smart, they're driven, they're passionate, they're deeply interested in topics of political and social concern, they're good to one another, and I also have this nice balance between being academically driven and also a sense of the importance of having a good chill factor, being able to relax, and enjoy one another's company.
Final question, if you could describe your job as an ice cream flavor, what would it be and why?
Oh, I love that. I would say it's, I would have to say it's Rainbow Sherbet.
Okay.
Because my job varies so much throughout the day. So I will have typically between 10 to 12 meetings a day, and I'll start the morning with a meeting that might be coffee, for example, at a diplomatic cafe with the student body, the DipCon president. And then the next meeting is something, so we're strategizing around some things. Then the next meeting might be with the chief financial officer. And then the next meeting I'm working with a conduct case. And then the next meeting I'm getting a chance to celebrate someone's birthday. And then the next meeting I'm going off to lunch at D Hall to meet with students. And that goes on and on. And so there's so much variety in my day, which I love. And it also requires the leadership skill set of being able to sort of bracket or put different experiences in boxes so that when you go to your next meeting, I'm able to give my full self and my best to whoever I'm meeting with, even if the topic and the subject material is wildly different from the one previously.
that. Okay, well, thank you for doing our icebreaker.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We're here. Right, so I wanted to know just more about you and your background. And
Okay.
I think all students want to know about you and your background. So where are you from? Tell me about the journey to F&M, how you ended up here, and
Sure.
everything that is Drew Stelljes.
I love it. So I was born and raised on the east end of Long Island in New York in a really small town called Miller Place. I went to school with the same 180 or so kids, kindergarten through 12th grade. And we had one elementary school, one middle school, and one high school. I went to college at James Madison University in Harrisonburg, Virginia, which was 440 miles south of where I grew up. I stayed there for my master's degree in counseling psychology. And then 25 years ago, I started working at William & Mary in Williamsburg, Virginia. And I started out as a assistant director for community engagement. My task was to create a community engagement office. And it was fantastic work. I loved it. All the while, I was earning my PhD from William & Mary in the School of Education in Education Policy. In 2007, I finished my PhD and I started teaching at William & Mary. And so from 2007 to June of 2023, I was both an administrator serving as the Associate Vice President for Student Affairs and a faculty member teaching in public policy and our School of Ed. I taught about 63 credit courses over that period of time, and I had a chance to advise dozens of internships, lots of doctoral dissertations, a ton of independent studies. But importantly, the classes were focused on two areas. One was in leadership, and the other was in urban education. And so the classes on leadership were a lot about personal and professional growth as it relates to leadership. So a lot of practical application. And then the class on urban ed really was an interrogation of our own K-12 experience, but then an analysis of the current state of K-12 education. And it really became a class that was about race and inequality and the resegregation of schools based on income levels and based on where you live. And we did a lot of those classes were actually taught out of Washington, D.C. So for the last 16 years, I've balanced administration and faculty life.
Okay, so then how did all of that bring you to Franklin and Marshall?
Yeah. So I was in a discernment process like students are, and my oldest is in college herself now, and so when we were touring college campuses, I was starting to recognize that this could be an opportunity for me to consider what would be the next chapter in my life. And I loved my time at William & Mary. I think it's a fantastic school. I learned a lot, and I think I was able to be of good service to the school.
Yes.
But I also was recognizing that I wanted to be able to be in a leadership position where I could make system-wide or college-wide change on behalf of and in benefit of the student experience. And so that's when I started to do a job search. And Franklin and Marshall position was the first one I saw, and it was the first one I fell in love with. And I'm just thrilled to be here.
I'm loving that.
Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned student-wide experience benefiting student-wide experiences. So what is an issue or a contemporary issue you've seen on campus that you would like to address and maybe in turn fix?
Sure. So there are, I'd say 4 or 5. Let me start with a couple. First, I would say that I believe that many of our students learn best and learn most effectively over time by being in experience, by learning through experience. And so I think we have an incredible opportunity at a deeply residential liberal arts school that is small in nature to allow every single student the opportunity to have a deep impact away from campus experience. That might look like something in outdoor education. That might look like something that's experiential. That might look like something where you are in deep reflection and meditation, something like that. So I would say that would be one. Another would be that I would love for every student to have his, her, or their own leadership journey that's sort of developmentally appropriate, that you start as a first year and all the way through your 4 years, you have a leadership development journey where you develop more and more skill sets So by the time you're done, you kind of have this resume of leadership.
Really?
The next thing I would love to do is for us to really take hold of what is part of the college's strategic plan goal of having students involved more in Lancaster. That is part of the college's strategic plan. Sort of getting students more involved in the city. Another thing, and these are in no particular order of importance, but another thing is I would love for us to provide the expertise and the resources to support our students' sense of personal, physical, mental well-being. And we can do that here, and I'm really excited about that. And then the other thing I would say is that one of the gems and the charms of this school is that we have such students who are from literally all over the world. So I like to say, we bring the world to Franklin and Marshall, and Franklin and Marshall to the world. And where we can use this as a laboratory for developing the most highly effective communities, we have great potential. And so when I say that we've got this charge in front of us around this idea of you belong, I'd love to talk about that even more depth later, but this idea of you belong, where everyone can bring who they are to this space and not have to change anything about themselves that they don't want to, but they can bring everything, their complexities, their lived experiences, their joys and their concerns, without having to fit into a form that already exists. That's what belonging is for me, and I'd love to evoke a culture of belonging.
Okay. So there's one thing I forgot to ask you earlier on, but now I'm thinking of it now. What is one thing that people most misunderstand about your job?
I would say a misunderstanding is that it's all about fun. I would say that it is. I mean, about it. I think I am a curator of the student life culture, and student life culture is dynamic. It's interwoven. It's complicated, and so to be a driver of a culture, where I would hope that the culture is students' ability to curate their own experience in a way that feels deeply real and authentic, is a lot more complicated than being the person who provides for the fun on the campus.
What strategies do you hope to implement to ensure that students can think, feel and act as though that they belong on this campus? Or what things have you done in the past that have proven successful in doing so?
Sure. Well, the first is I consider myself in service to students. It's my great honor to be in service to you. And I am in service to the 150 staff who are a part of the Division of Student Affairs. And so part of it is not only role modeling what are our highest goals and aspirations through my actions, but then also putting in procedures, practices, policies, and moreover sort of a culture for the 150 staff who work within student affairs to be able to promote a sense of belonging. So can you imagine the ripple effect that we could have if and as all 150 of the staff in student affairs are approaching each and every day with this concept around how do I promote a culture of belonging so that every single student can think, can feel, and can act as they belong.
And I think just like growing up, and did you lead anything in college? That's what I'm trying to say. In college,
did I lead anything?
Yes.
Yeah, I had my first leadership experiences in college, which was great, and I was, both excited about it and terrified. And so it was everything from serving on the executive board of our tour guide or student ambassadors program, to serving on the executive board of my fraternity, to then taking on student employment. My job in college, which I actually ended up loving, was serving in the as a caller to the alumni to try to get them to give money back to their school.
Oh wow!
Right? And I started out out as a student worker, and then I became the student manager. And so my job as the student manager was then to motivate the 10 to 15 students who were in the calling room every night to help them to do better in communication, but also to kind of motivate them. And so that was fun. So those are a couple of my sort of first leadership positions.
All right. So did you ever think that that'd take you down the route of banking or Wall Street?
Never in a million years. No. I was born and bred. I was built to do this kind of work and not to be in numbers and in sort of that kind of hard. I was born to be in the people business.
Okay, I love it. And if you couldn't do this job, what other job would you do?
I'd probably want to be a coach of a team. That's what I would want to do. I really like sport.
Okay, what specific sport?
I grew up loving baseball, and so I think it's in my DNA to be the most effective coach I would probably be is a baseball coach.
Okay, so I want to delve into more questions about Drew when he was younger.
Okay.
What was Drew like?
Okay.
The younger version Drew.
Sure. So I'm the oldest.
Okay.
I have a younger sister. She is a teacher and back on Long Island. And I would say that my younger self was shy, on the shyer side. I made it a point to get good grades because education was highly valued in my family. I made it a point to be, I think, a sort of a peacemaker in school. But I developed confidence in myself and my abilities more into high school. So in middle school especially, I was really shy. And interestingly, my younger self, art was a real hobby of mine that started out as something I was pretty good at.
Yeah.
And then when I got into high school, I had an art teacher who helped me and all of our peers become skilled at it.
Yeah.
And so he taught us how to be better artists. And so that gave me a sort of a voice when I was otherwise kind of a shy kid.
Okay, I'm loving that. So what's the art? Right, so as we're soon wrapping up, is there anything about us that you would love us to know, or anything that I haven't said that you would love to let the people know?
Sure. Well, first of all, I consider this the sort of the honor of my professional life to be able to be in this role. I think, there's a couple different ways you can look at the Vice President for Student Affairs role, and the way that I conceptualize it is that I get to be one of the spokespersons for the student experience with my colleagues on the senior staff, the other vice presidents, and our president. And also I get to be able to share with the students what we see as the highest priorities of the college. And so, sometimes I think of it as the bridge. Sometimes I sort of think of it as the sand in the hourglass, is that sometimes when communication is being disseminated, it can get a little bit stuck, and I want to widen that hourglass as much as possible. But I also want to be able to enhance the student experience, and when and if there are things that are sort of structurally or systematically problematic, if and when I can help to alleviate that, that's part of the greatest joys. The other thing I would say is, along with the 150 staff in student affairs, to a person, we consider it sort of among our greatest honors and our greatest joys is to be able to help a student discover what they want to become and how to unleash that energy. And especially sometimes when a student is at their most vulnerable. Maybe they're at a low point. They've lost academic confidence. They've made a mistake that they're trying to figure out how to overcome. We always say that every day, every night, after every night, the sun does rise the next morning, and that we get a shot to do it over again. And so we love to be able to be with and sit alongside students in their journey, and their ups and their downs and their challenges and their successes. And we have these wonderful bookends of convocation and commencement that symbolize this journey's beginning and this journey, this part of the journey's end. as the people emerge into alumni status. But it is vocational in nature. It's what we were sort of built to do, and it's a great honor to be able to do that with and alongside students.
Yeah, lovely. Does any advice you want to give me for my time at F&M, or any questions you have for me?
Oh, I would ask you, what would you say is the biggest what's the biggest skill that you think you've gained so far as a result of being here, and how did you accomplish that?
My biggest skill since being at F&M, I would say awareness. Being patient and being open to new perspectives. I think a very big thing for me coming here was religion. Like, I've never ever seen like the big literally posters as I'm on the highway. I've never seen that, like, where I'm from.
Yeah.
And just the intersectionality between religion and politics here, both in F&M and in the US as a whole.
Yes.
It allowed me to be more patient with people and also understand their perspectives, and also not allow myself to be so easily affected by the things people say, and also be open to different views and different viewpoints on things. And I think that's helped me to be able to add to the quality of discussion within my classroom and also in Lancaster community.
Would you say that, what would you say are some of the kind of markers that help F&M to have a successful student experience? What are some things that we do that help to make it successful?
First, I would say professors. That's the big thing. I think a lot of students on this campus, and I'm a big advocate for just ask and be vulnerable and say what you want to do. There are a lot of things on this campus that I'm a first semester sophomore, but I've probably benefited as though I'm a junior, like towards my graduation, just because I've asked and I've reached out and asked people for things. I think that's one of the greatest things I can say about F&M is the resources. There are a lot. It may seem like it's limited, but if you really do your research, there are a lot of things that are available for students. And I think people just aren't searching hard enough.
Well, I really enjoyed talking with you, and I look forward to doing it again.
Yes, and thank you for joining us. I'm so happy to have you here. So now we're going to sign out, and it's a new thing I'm starting. We're just going to say, signing out, Dear Diplomats.
Okay.
So 3, 2, 1. Signing out, Dear Diplomats.
100 grams.
Yeah, it's the resources.
Thank you. I enjoyed just the beginning of getting to know you. I look forward to getting to know you a lot better.
Yes, me too. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we're going to sign out, so we sign out saying... Okay, we'll do that again.